Hello. Pain is a powerful teacher, but how you respond to it determines your strength. When someone hurts you, the natural reaction is often anger, sadness, or a desire for revenge. But what if instead of reacting emotionally, you responded with something unexpected? Composure, growth, and self-respect. When a man hurts you, he often expects one of two things. Either you will chase after him, seeking answers and validation, or you will lash out in frustration. Both reactions give him power. But what happens when you do neither? What happens when, instead of allowing pain to control you, you use it as fuel to build a better, stronger version of yourself? That is how you truly confuse someone who expected to break you. The first step is to master your emotions. Do not let temporary feelings dictate permanent actions. When you react with emotional intensity, you give away control. But when you remain calm and collected, the person who tried to hurt you is left questioning their own influence. They expected chaos, but you give them silence. They anticipated desperation, but you show strength. The next step is to shift your focus inward. Growth is the best response to adversity. Invest in yourself, physically, mentally, and emotionally. Pursue your goals, develop new skills, and surround yourself with people who uplift you. This does two things. It elevates your life while making it clear that no one has the power to define your worth but you. Another powerful way to confuse someone who tried to hurt you is to remain unpredictable. If you stop seeking closure, if you no longer react the way they expect, you break the cycle of control. Silence, confidence, and moving forward without looking back create an air of mystery that is more powerful than words. Most importantly, understand that your value is not tied to anyone else's treatment of you. Strength comes from knowing who you are and refusing to let pain dictate your future. The best revenge is not anger or retaliation. It is success, peace, and happiness. So when a man hurts you, do not react as expected. Do not chase. Do not seek validation. Instead, rise above. Focus on your growth, set firm boundaries, and walk forward with unshakable confidence. Because nothing confuses someone more than realizing they no longer have power over you. When someone hurts you, your immediate reaction is often driven by emotion, anger, sadness, disappointment, or even a desperate need for closure. This is a natural human response, but it is also predictable. People who hurt others, whether intentionally or unintentionally, often expect some form of emotional reaction. They expect confrontation, tears, arguments, or even retaliation. However, when you refuse to give them this expected response, you shift the dynamic entirely. Instead of reacting with pain, confusion, or desperation, responding with emotional resilience and control creates an entirely different outcome, one that empowers you while leaving the other person uncertain about their influence over you. Emotional resilience is not about suppressing your feelings or pretending that pain does not exist. It is about acknowledging your emotions internally while choosing not to be ruled by them externally. It means recognizing that your emotions are valid, but they do not have to dictate your actions in ways that give power to the person who hurt you. When you react impulsively to pain, you allow someone else to determine your state of mind. You let them control not just what they did to you, but also how you handle it. Instead of falling into that trap, developing emotional resilience means responding with thoughtfulness, composure, and inner strength. One of the most powerful ways to demonstrate emotional control is through silence. Silence is often mistaken for weakness, but in reality, it is one of the greatest displays of strength. When someone expects an outburst but instead receives nothing, they are forced to confront the reality that their actions do not define your emotional stability. They wanted to see you broken, but instead, they see you standing firm. They hope to provoke you, but instead, they are left questioning their own impact. Silence can be more unsettling than words because it denies the person the reaction they were hoping for. It signals that their actions do not hold as much power over you as they might have believed. Another key aspect of emotional resilience is the ability to regulate your response in a way that prioritizes your well-being over emotional impulsivity. It is easy to get caught up in the heat of the moment, saying things you might later regret, or engaging in behaviors that only lead to more pain. However, taking a step back, breathing, and allowing yourself time to process the situation before responding ensures that your actions align with your long-term self-respect rather than short-term emotional relief. The ability to remain composed in difficult situations is a mark of true strength, and it often catches people off guard when they expect a breakdown or confrontation. Beyond silence and self-regulation, another effective way to demonstrate emotional resilience is by maintaining your sense of self-worth. When someone hurts you, they may expect you to question yourself, to feel unworthy, or to beg for explanations that may never come. However, when you know your worth, you do not seek validation from someone who has shown disregard for your feelings. Instead of asking, "Why did they do this to me?" you shift your mindset to, "How do I grow from this experience?" This internal shift is powerful because it moves the focus away from the person who caused the pain and places it back where it belongs, on you and your own personal growth. Emotional resilience also involves refusing to let pain consume your thoughts and actions. Dwelling on hurtful experiences, replaying conversations in your mind, or constantly seeking closure can keep you trapped in a cycle of pain. True resilience means acknowledging the hurt, but refusing to let it control your future. It is about shifting your energy away from the past and redirecting it towards building a better version of yourself. Instead of reacting with bitterness or resentment, use the pain as motivation to improve your life in meaningful ways. Whether through personal development, pursuing goals, or surrounding yourself with positivity. One of the most confusing things for someone who tries to hurt you is seeing you remain unaffected, or at least appearing that way. This does not mean you will not feel pain, but it means you will not give them the satisfaction of knowing they have control over your emotions. When you walk away with dignity, when you refuse to argue, beg, or seek revenge, you take away their power. They are left wondering why their actions did not break you, and in that confusion, they lose the upper hand. Emotional resilience is a skill that can be developed over time. It requires self-awareness, patience, and the willingness to prioritize inner peace over emotional reactions. It is about choosing yourself over the need to prove anything to someone else. When you master emotional control, you gain the ability to navigate painful experiences with grace and strength. And the most powerful outcome of all, you reclaim your power, leaving those who intended to hurt you confused, uncertain, and ultimately irrelevant to your continued success and happiness. When someone hurts you, it is easy to get caught in a cycle of emotional turmoil, questioning what went wrong, why they acted the way they did, and whether you could have done something differently. This reaction is natural, but it does not serve you. In fact, it only prolongs your suffering and keeps you tied to a situation that no longer deserves your attention. The most powerful response to being hurt is not to seek validation or revenge, but to shift your focus entirely toward self-improvement. When you invest in yourself instead of dwelling on the past, you take back control of your life, confuse those who expected you to remain broken, and ultimately build a future that is stronger and more fulfilling than before. Self-improvement is a transformative process because it turns pain into progress. It shifts your mindset from victimhood to empowerment, allowing you to see yourself not as someone who has been wronged, but as someone who has the strength to rise above the experience. This shift is critical because the moment you decide to grow instead of grieve, you change the entire narrative of what happened to you. No longer are you defined by what someone else did, Instead, you are defined by how you chose to respond. The first step in self-improvement as a response to hurt is to redirect your energy. When you are emotionally wounded, your thoughts can become consumed with negativity, ruminating on past events, replaying painful memories, or obsessing over what could have been. But what if you use that energy differently? What if, instead of focusing on the person who hurt you, you focused on becoming better, stronger, and more fulfilled in your own life? This shift in focus is powerful because it replaces helplessness with action. It is no longer about what was done to you, but about what you are doing for yourself. One of the most effective ways to invest in self-improvement is through personal development. This can take many forms, depending on your interests and goals. It could mean learning a new skill, reading books that challenge your perspective, enrolling in a course that excites you, or working on your physical health through exercise and nutrition. The key is to engage in activities that make you feel accomplished and enhance your confidence. When you dedicate time and effort to becoming a better version of yourself, you send a clear message, not just to the person who hurt you, but to yourself, that you refuse to be diminished by pain. Another essential aspect of self-improvement is emotional growth. Being hurt can expose deep-seated insecurities, fears, or patterns of behavior that may need to be addressed. Instead of letting these emotions control you, use them as an opportunity to understand yourself better. Reflect on what the experience has taught you. Did it reveal something about your boundaries? Did it show you areas where you need to build more self-respect or resilience? By using pain as a tool for self-awareness, you turn it into a stepping stone rather than a setback. Self-improvement also involves surrounding yourself with positive influences. When you are hurt, it is easy to isolate yourself or fall into negative thinking patterns. However, growth happens in environments that encourage progress. Spend time with people who uplift you, who inspire you, and who remind you of your worth. Engage in conversations that challenge and expand your thinking. The more you immerse yourself in a world of progress and positivity, the less space you leave for dwelling on the past. Perhaps the most confusing thing for someone who tried to hurt you is realizing that their actions did not define your path. When they see you thriving, achieving new goals, and building a better life, it contradicts their expectation that you would remain stuck in pain. This is not about proving anything to them. Rather, it is about proving to yourself that your happiness and success do not depend on anyone else. Growth is the best revenge, not in a spiteful way, but in a way that affirms your independence and self-worth. When you turn pain into motivation, you take back the power that someone tried to take from you. You show, through your actions, that you are unbreakable. The goal is not to pretend you were never hurt, but to ensure that the hurt does not define you. Self-improvement is the most powerful way to move forward. It is a declaration that you are more than your past, more than what was done to you, and more than the pain you have experienced. It is about becoming the person you were always meant to be, regardless of who may have tried to hold you back. When you choose growth over grief, you do not just confuse those who hurt you, you inspire yourself to rise higher than ever before. Silence and mystery are among the most powerful tools a person can use when faced with emotional pain. Silence and mystery are among the most powerful tools a person can use when faced with emotional pain. When someone hurts you, they often expect a reaction, anger, sadness, or even desperation. They may anticipate an argument, pleading for answers, or a need for closure. But when you refuse to respond in the way they expect, when you maintain silence and composure, you create a level of uncertainty that any words could ever be. The power of silence and mystery is that it removes the validation that the other person seeks. Instead of confirming their influence over your emotions, you leave them questioning what is going on in your mind. And in that uncertainty, they lose control. Silence is not weakness. In fact, it is one of the greatest demonstrations of strength. Choosing not to engage in unnecessary confrontation or emotional outbursts signals that you are in control of yourself. It shows that you refuse to be manipulated or drawn into a cycle of pain and reaction. When someone expects you to lash out but instead receives calm indifference, it forces them to reflect on their actions in a way they might not have anticipated. They are left wondering if they ever had the power over you that they assumed they did. This uncertainty often leads to confusion as they realize that their actions did not break you. Beyond silence, mystery adds another layer of strength. Mystery is created when you do not reveal everything you are thinking or feeling. In today's world, where emotions are often expressed instantly through words, messages, or social media, choosing to hold back is a rare and powerful act. People are conditioned to expect immediate reactions, to see evidence of pain, anger, or sadness. But when you keep your emotions private and your actions intentional, you create an aura of unpredictability. The person who hurt you does not know if you are suffering, healing, moving on, or thriving, and that uncertainty is far more powerful than any emotional display. Holding on to mystery also prevents others from gaining access to your vulnerability. When you openly express all your thoughts and feelings, you risk giving people the information they can use against you. By keeping certain emotions and decisions to yourself, you retain control over your own narrative. The person who hurt you is left guessing, wondering whether they truly affected you or if you have already moved beyond their reach. Now, this lack of clarity can be unsettling for them, especially if they expected to hold power over your emotions. Silence and mystery also protect your peace. Engaging in arguments or constantly seeking explanations from those who hurt you often leads to more pain and disappointment. Many times, people who cause harm will not provide the closure or accountability you seek. Instead of wasting energy on conversations that may not bring resolution, choosing silence allows you to focus on your healing without interference. It prevents you from being pulled back into a situation that no longer serves you. The absence of reaction is not about avoiding your emotions, but about prioritizing your own well-being over unnecessary conflict. Another significant advantage of maintaining silence and mystery is that it allows you to regain control over your own life. Instead of being consumed by someone else's actions, you redirect your energy towards self-growth and improvement. This shift in focus is powerful because it moves the attention away from the person who caused the pain and places it back where it belongs, on you. When you remain silent, you create space for self-reflection, healing, and personal transformation. You are no longer reacting to someone else's behavior. You are actively shaping your own future. Many people underestimate the power of not explaining themselves. When you do not feel the need to justify your choices, actions, or feelings, you free yourself from the expectations of others. If someone hurts you and expects a reaction, but instead you simply move forward without explanation, they are left with questions rather than closure. They do not know what you are thinking, what you plan to do next, or how deeply they may have affected you. This uncertainty can be far more impactful than any confrontation. At its core, silence and mystery are about reclaiming your personal power. Instead of allowing pain to dictate your actions, you choose to control your response in a way that serves your best interests. You demonstrate that your emotional state is not dependent on anyone else's behavior. By refusing to engage in predictable patterns of reaction, you set yourself apart as someone who cannot be easily manipulated or broken. This level of emotional discipline confuses those who expected to see you struggle, and in doing so, it reinforces your inner strength. The most powerful message you can send to someone who hurt you is not found in words or actions, but in the quiet confidence of moving forward on your own terms. When you choose silence over chaos and mystery over predictability, you do not just protect yourself, you elevate yourself. The person who hurt you is left wondering, questioning, and perhaps even regretting, while you continue to rise, unshaken and unstoppable. When someone hurts you, the initial reaction is often emotional. You may feel betrayed, disappointed, or even consumed by anger. It is natural to experience strong emotions in response to pain, but allowing those emotions to dictate your actions can lead to impulsive decisions that do not serve your best interests. Instead of reacting based on temporary emotions, choosing to approach the situation with rational thinking gives you control over your response and prevents further emotional turmoil. The moment you shift from reacting emotionally to thinking logically, you reclaim your power. Rational thinking involves stepping back from the situation and assessing it objectively. When you are hurt, your mind tends to focus on the intensity of the emotions rather than the reality of the situation. However, emotions can cloud judgment and lead to distorted thinking. You may assume that the person who hurt you did so with intent, or you may magnify the severity of the situation beyond what it actually is. Taking a rational approach means looking at the facts, considering different perspectives, and asking yourself whether your reaction is truly beneficial in the long run. It means separating feelings from reality so that you can make decisions that align with your self-respect and well-being. One of the most important aspects of rational thinking is refusing to let another person control your mental state. When you react impulsively, you allow their actions to dictate your behavior. But when you take time to process what happened and respond with clarity, you shift the balance of power. You are no longer reacting out of pain. You are choosing how to handle the situation in a way that serves your future. This approach confuses those who expected to see you struggle emotionally. They assumed their actions would provoke a reaction, but instead you remain composed, logical, and in control of your next move. Another benefit of rational thinking is that it allows you to focus on solutions rather than problems. Instead of dwelling on why something happened or seeking validation from the person who hurt you, you can redirect your energy toward what you can learn from the experience. Every painful situation carries a lesson, whether it is about setting better boundaries, recognizing red flags, or understanding your own emotional triggers. By choosing to focus on growth rather than suffering, you turn adversity into an opportunity for self-improvement. One of the most liberating things you can do when someone hurts you is to move forward with a sense of purpose. Pain has a way of making people feel stuck, trapped in a cycle of overthinking and emotional distress. However, the moment you decide to shift your focus toward progress rather than dwelling on the past, you take control of your own narrative. Instead of waiting for closure, revenge, or an apology that may never come, you choose to channel your energy into building a life that is meaningful and fulfilling. Moving forward with purpose means setting new goals, rediscovering your passions, and investing in things that bring you joy and personal growth. It is about refusing to let pain define your path and instead using it as motivation to create something better for yourself. This approach confuses those who hurt you because they expect you to remain consumed by the pain. They assume that you will be stuck in a cycle of bitterness or longing, but instead, you rise above it with ambition and resilience. One of the most effective ways to move forward is to establish a clear vision for your future. Ask yourself what you truly want, whether it is career advancement, emotional healing, new relationships, or personal achievements. When you have a sense of purpose, you give yourself something bigger to focus on than the hurt you experienced. Every step you take toward your goals reinforces the idea that you are not defined by your past, but by the actions you take in the present. Moving forward does not mean suppressing your emotions or pretending the pain never existed. It means acknowledging the experience, learning from it, and refusing to let it dictate your happiness. True healing happens when you shift your focus from what was lost to what can be gained. The moment you commit to your own growth, the past loses its hold on you. Instead of being weighed down by what happened, you propel yourself forward, leaving behind the people and situations that no longer serve you. At the core of self-worth lies the ability to set firm boundaries and uphold them with confidence. When someone hurts you, it is often because they crossed a boundary, whether emotionally, mentally, or physically. However, the way you respond to that boundary being broken determines how others will treat you in the future. Mastering the art of setting and enforcing boundaries is one of the most powerful ways to prevent further pain and confusion. Boundaries are not about shutting people out, but about defining what is and is not acceptable in your life. When you have clear standards for how you expect to be treated, you send a message that you respect yourself and will not tolerate anything less. This alone can be confusing for those who expected you to compromise, beg for their attention, or tolerate mistreatment. When you stand firm in your self-respect, you become someone who cannot be easily manipulated or taken for granted. The strongest ways to enforce boundaries is through action, not words. People often try to test limits by seeing how much they can get away with, but when your response is consistent and unwavering, they quickly realize that they cannot control you. If someone disrespects you, your reaction should not be to argue, plead, or try to convince them to change. Instead, you distance yourself, remove access, or make it clear through your actions that mistreatment is not an option. This shift in power dynamic often leaves the other person confused because they no longer have the influence over you that they once did. Self-respect also means prioritizing your well-being over the desire for closure or validation. Many people remain in toxic situations because they hope for an explanation or an apology that never comes. However, true self-respect means recognizing that you do not need someone else's remorse to move on. You do not need permission to heal. The moment you decide that your peace is more important than someone else's words, you take back your power.